before the semester was over, I withdrew from the class, and I handed in my project, and I showed him, exactly what kind of data I had been collecting all semester long. And so I also, at that point, decided to remove myself from the Animal Behavior program. I'm now in philosophy, but I established the Animal Allies Club of Canisius College and a greater Western New York advocacy group, Animal Allies of Western New York. These are just examples of some of the outreach events that I've done at the college, which is extremely important when you have vivisection going on campus. You really need to have a presence on campus. And so you can go to the next slide, please. And so at which point I removed myself from the Animal Behavior program at Canisius. I said, okay, well, you know what? This is the way my life is going. And I'm going to go back to Madai, the place where I saw all that hideous animal torture to begin with. And we protested Madai College for their use of animals and their requirement that the well-meaning, compassionate students be forced to undergo this class that would have us torturing animals and watching animals suffer and die at our hands. And so we did go and protest that. I'm sorry that I have to go through this so fast, but you can go to the next slide, please. Now, back to Canisius College. I'm still a student at Canisius College, but now I'm in the philosophy department, so there's no holds barred as far as focusing in on the vivisection happening at Canisius College. So that's exactly what I did. And one of the speakers that came into the college which was a Dr. James Hopp, who is the director of the National Primate Breeding Program for the National Primate Research Center. So he's the one that makes all the little babies to be tortured in the laboratories. And he was invited to come to Canisius College to speak to a brand new class of students that had come there from all across the country for the country's second, one of two animal behavior programs in the country. So you've got kids coming from all over want to help and learn how to help animals. And this is the first person that they saw come and speak at the college to these brand new kids. You can go to the next slide.
Okay, there's just a couple more minutes. Okay.
All right, let me see. So basically, So basically, we protested outside. And then after which I went inside, I sat patiently, listened to his complete nonsense for an hour and a half about how animal rights activists are violent and extreme, and sat there and listened to that. And then at the end, asked one question, which was, of course, a pointed question where I asked, with $12 billion of our taxpayer money going to fund animal research through the NIH funds alone, that's $12 billion alone through the NIH, how can you expect us to trust that our money is being well spent when you can't even remember to feed your own animals? At which point, a lot of, to keep it short, I was removed from the facility for asking the question. At no point did I raise my voice. At no point was I any danger to the audience. I was asking a question, and I was removed, handcuffed, and arrested, put in the back of a patrol car. You can go to the next slide, please. And so basically, Dr. Ha, during his presentation, I'm backtracking a bit, but he was talking about how, we won't be using animals soon. And, there's been a decline. Yet, in fact, the truth of the matter is that in the last 10 years, the number of primate experimentation funded by the NIH has increased by 76%. So this man is standing there lying. And the truth of which you can see on the next slide, if you go to the next slide. I'm sure we're all familiar with some of these images, but this is why it's important to speak out and find out what's going on at the campus that you are a part of. This is an academic conference bringing activism and academia together, so I really implore people to find out what's going on the campus that you're a part of. Canisius College is a very small private college, and so what was happening with the lab animals was happening to mostly mice and rats. But there's something going on pretty much every campus across the country. So just please, make an effort to find out what's going on and to see if there's students working to raise awareness and how you can help them. If you go to the next slide, this is just proof of the USDA violations that were incurred by the Washington facility. And so this is what the man, Dr. Houghton, completely denied during his presentation, and that was why I was removed from the facility and handcuffed, because I was trying to provide the audience with this documentation. You can go to the next slide. And you can go to the next slide after that, because we don't need to spend too much time on this. This is just to show that we need to actually use the network that is provided to us across the country, across the globe. There are animal rights activists that will speak up and work with each other, and that's exactly what I did. I reached out to the network, and because of that, I was able to get a lot of publicity on the case. And if you go to the next slide, I'm now suing the college, by the way. But this is just an example. Their motto is "Where leaders are made." I just had a little fun with that and said "Where leaders are repressed," and the other logo is altered as well. If you go to the next slide, you can skip the next one completely. But this is just an example to keep the pressure on, to bring in speakers to a college where animal research is going in, bring in Michael Butkey, bring in activists to speak and keep the pressure on these sectors. You can go, okay, this is just a slide here to show the campaign that we mounted against my former professor about the laboratory project with Moran.
We only have like a minute left, so we're going to have to wrap it.
Well, I just wanted to finish this up as quick as I can. But basically, because of putting it out online, we were able to start the campaign and get this project shut down within 4 days, because that was what I call a soft target. And so when we think about the victims, we need to think about, of course, number one, the animals, but second of all, we need to think about the students that are being, being desensitized. If you go to the next slide, this just shows that we had a campaign victory.